The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
This is the Stockwell Roueche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roueche.
Condos or townhomes? That is the question. That's the question that we're going to be discussing today on the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And Josh Roueche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
You're every Sunday here at 10 a.m. on The Patriot. Thank you for listening, loyal listeners out there. We appreciate it. Today we have a great show. We have an attorney on the show, which we always love to have attorneys on. We have Zach, who's a insurance agent.
Are you going to name the attorney? Are you going to hold off on that?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a surprise because she's kind of a celebrity. So
kind of a big deal.
Lindsay Mancini. So you may think, that's a celebrity, which it sounds very like it is a celebrity. But Lindsay Mancini
is how you say
Woods and Thompson. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Zach Rue with Premier Group Agency, insurance agent, broker, is on the show too as well to discuss the differences of condos, townhomes, and even comparing that to single family. A lot of you out there may be thinking of, well, is it a right time to go into a condo or townhome? I heard a lot about the condos and townhomes back when it crashed, and the market crashed, and they took a very heavy hit. And now you're seeing that stuff come back. Lisa Swanson with Envoy Mortgage is also here.
Good morning,
Lisa.
Good
How
morning.
you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
Awesome. So, without further ado, Josh, market update. We're going to get on going with that.
All right, yeah, let's start with that. Basically, when I talk about the market update and when I throw out these statistics, it's basically a change from this time last year. So right now we're looking at, in the new listings in the marketplace, we're at 8.3% increase this time now from last year. Changing in pending sales, we're up 14.6% change now from last year. And then as far as change in inventory, we're actually down 6.8%. So what that says is that we've got a lot of active buyers out there, and they're putting offers in. We're getting new listings. The market's great. Yet our change in inventory is down because we just don't have enough inventory out there.
So what I'm seeing on that is, just for you out there listening, what you're seeing is inventories amount of homes on the market. That's up year over year from last year by over 8%. However, pending sales are also up by 14%, which means they're getting eaten up faster. Therefore, we have a change in inventory lower than last year. So there's less homes on the market than last year.
Oh, you got to remember, too, last year we had a horrible winter. It was like one of the worst winters we've had in like 20 years.
That's right. We're enjoying this winter. It's been awesome.
A couple other statistics I got. Casey, who's a part of the show a lot, she gave me some statistics that she found on the MLS. Right now we're talking about condos and townhomes today. Right now she shows, based off MLS, that there's 1,142 active townhomes on the market. 228 of those have offers, 469 are in pending status, and then there's been 334 sales that have closed this year for townhomes. As far as condos go, there's 699 active condos available. 103 of them have offers right now. 193 are in pending status, meaning that they've got an accepted offer pending. And then there's 179 that have closed this year. So
it's been an active year for condos and townhomes.
Very, very active.
They've really come back. And my prediction is that as the people...
You want the hat? Hey, get the hat. We need to get you the hat.
Oh, that's right, the Joshini hat. So my prediction is, without wearing the hat or being Karnak Jr., is that they will be continuing to go up. They'll be continuing to be more of a place for people to choose to reside in, due to a lot of the influx in the city and a lot of money being poured in by state, local, federal levels into the more centralized cities, and that's where we're going to see a lot more people buying condos. Plus, with the millennials and their demographic and how they buy, they still want that flexibility, freedom, as Casey talked about a lot on the show.
And we talked about that on a past show about the millennials and how many are trying to move into the city area.
Yep. Millennials and the Silver Tsunami, because the Great Hair Tsunami, because they all want the same thing. So they're going after the same thing. Maybe they don't want the rooftop pool like the millennials might, but they might want some other amenities in downtown.
Yeah.
So thanks, Josh. Lisa, what's going on in the mortgage world? Envoy Mortgage, what's happening?
Oh, so many things. I think the theme has been really since 2015 that interest rates are crazy low. The opportunity to buy more house for your money is more evident than it ever has been before. Refinancing is on the rise. Applications have increased, dramatically. For our listeners and even for our expert panel here today, if one of you have a mortgage that you have an interest rate above 4.25%, it's a great time to revisit that interest rate and how much interest we can save you over the life of the loan. Likewise, if you're in a government loan, an FHA, we've changed some rules on those, so there's less cost involved, as well as a VA. There's some awesome benefits of refinancing.
Nice.
And it's been active for you, I presume, as well, just
Very
like
much
everybody
so.
else. Yeah. So all of the stuff is putting together for January to be January was a very good month. February and the spring and this year should be a shape up to be a great year in the first half, as long as rates stay low.
Right. Well, and Europe is actually the catalyst right now for this continuing, steadiness in rates being low. Some of the experts are actually predicting rates might even go down a little bit more, but then other experts are anticipating that they will be rising here in the next couple of months. So again, I think we've talked about before, if you're comfortable with your payment that your loan officer's quoted you or I've quoted you, buy now, lock in as soon as you possibly can, just to avoid that risk.
Yep, great information. Lisa, what else do you have to tell us about Envoy Mortgage? Besides it's a great company, you're a great person.
Well, I'd like to mention my NMLS number, 261955. That's my identifying number regarding, I guess, my license and my background.
Your license and everything's good. That's what you're saying.
Yep.
So
That's
for you out
great.
there, if you're thinking about,
Some ums and ahs in there, yeah.
yeah, she's doing great. So Josh, also, we have some other exciting news here to announce.
We do.
Josh, on his own, he's a very talented individual. Besides the real estate business, he actually can do websites. Now, you don't have to call Josh up and build your website as a business, but he built us a website, TalkTwinCitiesRealEstate.com. Go check it out. It is awesome. It has tons of information. It shows all of our past shows, which are recorded on YouTube. It has photos of us. What else, Josh? I mean, you did a great job.
It's got our team members, team members on my team members on your team. It's got our contact information, Facebook, Twitter. What we really would like, if you can, is go into our YouTube channel. There's a button on the bottom of it. We'd love to have some more subscribers come into our YouTube channel, so please check that box if you are a fan of the show. But if you got questions too, and you want a question read on the show, and you have questions, please go into the website. There's a part called questions, and type in a question and submit that. And we'd love to read that question on the show and answer with our expert panel, answer any questions that you may have out there about real estate.
There's tons of good information on there, mainly, especially the YouTubes, because you can see live what's going on. You can put a face to a name, and you can see who the experts are on the show as well.
And don't look at the picture so much. I have that hat on, the Joshini hat. I do have some pictures on there, so I do sell real estate, and I'm very good at my job. That was a clown.
But you also can do a good Karnak Jr.
Yes.
So
Thanks.
TalkTwinCitiesRealEstate.com. That is the website. Find everything there. You can also go right to the Facebook page from there. Phone number, if you have any questions or want to call in or need anything, we're here to help. 651-400-0773. 651-400-0773. This is the Stockwell Roueche Show, Sundays at 10 a.m. here on The Patriot. And we'll get right into our guest expert panel. Two people that are smarter than me. I don't know about Josh, but they're more knowledgeable than me on condos and townhomes and what's the difference and how it affects you as a potential buyer or seller of a condo townhome. And if you're looking to go that route, Lindsay Mancini, Josh Rue.
Zach Rue.
I'm sorry, Zach Rue. You guys are like twins to me. So Zach Rue and Lindsay Mancini. So Lindsay, Woods and Thompson, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce us. What got you into law?
It's an honor to have you on the show, by the way.
It's an honor to have you on the show. What got you into law? What is stuff that you do? Where's your practice? What's, just a little background on you and your history and your firm and everything like that.
Sounds good. Well, I grew up here in Minnesota in Ramsey, went to Anoka High School.
Nice.
Went to Gustavus Adolphus for undergrad.
So did I. I did not know that.
I grew up in Ramsey.
You got to be kidding me. I didn't know that.
And then William Mitchell.
We just found that out. It's kind of a cool moment.
Golden Gusties.
Yep.
And then I went to William Mitchell Law School, and I started as a law clerk at Woods and Thompson, the firm I'm at now, almost 9 years ago. So I've been there for a long time, kind of worked my way up. I'm a partner now. We have a pretty diverse firm. It's in Fridley, 694 in Central, and we do mostly personal injury law. I run our litigation department, which has been extremely fun and rewarding. I also teach at William Mitchell. I teach insurance law
Oh, wow.
Cool.
as an adjunct professor.
Awesome. So Zach might be able to learn something from you then.
That's a possibility.
So Zach, Rue, tell us a little bit about you, Premier Agency Group, or Premier Group Agency. What's going on and what do you do?
I'm an independent insurance agent in Maple Grove, Premier Group Agency, serving mostly homeowners, auto, life, your toys, some small business.
Yep.
Been in the business now for about 7 years, and things are going great. I love to help people every day. Insurance is kind of an ever-changing, especially lately, business, and I think it's important for people to have an agent that they can talk to that really wants to discover what their needs are.
And I like it. What I like about Zach too is he's a partner of the show, and he also, what we know about him is he's a broker. So a lot of people that may have a negative connotation when you hear the word broker, but what that means to you, the consumer, and maybe Zach can explain a little better, is that you're not just going through one outfit like one of the big agencies you see on TV. You have access to multiple channels, which usually can be beneficial for the consumer, right?
Right. I'm approved with about 30 of the top carriers in the state of Minnesota. So when you come to my agency or speak with me, I'm going to get your information, and then I'm going to shop those carriers to try to find the plan that fits you the best and is also the best value.
Yep.
I kind of do the shopping for you. It's a lot like you're comparing a mortgage broker to going to U.S. Bank.
A big bank. Yeah, you got one option and then versus many options. So,
Correct.
And that opens up a lot of doors for you and gives you a lot of options, and everybody likes options, right? So, and speaking of options, condo or townhome or single family if you're a buyer, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So let's say
There's a lot of options out
you're
there.
on the baby boomer, or you're downsizing or right sizing and you want to go into a condo or townhome, or you're a millennial and you want to go into a condo or townhome. They're all over the Twin Cities. They took a huge hit in the downturn, and now they are coming back. We're going to just go over real quick. I'm going to talk about the differences that I see. This is just right from online as far as the difference between a condo and a townhome, and then we can discuss the details at length with Lindsay, with Lisa, and with Zach. A condo means that you own. It actually comes from the word condominium, which in Latin means common ownership or common control, and you own essentially the airspace, not the land, not the building, or anything like that, and that's all shared. And it's a percentage determined by the residents' monthly dues with the association, and there's a wide variety of architectural styles. Townhome, you actually own the property, the real estate land, and a lot of other things are shared on that. So there's a slight difference, and we'll get into the details of those with Zach, Rue, Lisa Swanson, and Lindsay Mancini. This is the Stockwell Roueche Show. We'll be back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
Lindsay Mancini, Woods & Thompson, attorney expert on the show. Zach Rue, insurance agent, Premier Group Agency, and Lisa Swanson, Envoy Mortgage. So real quick, I want to just run down the scenario on a condo or townhome. I've sold a lot of them listing them and selling them to buyers. Typically what happens is the buyer goes in, puts an offer on a condo or townhome. They have 10 days to review the association documents, bylaws, disclosures, all the stuff with the association. Very, very few people take the time to even read anything other than how many pets do they allow and what's the monthly dues. I mean, so what we're trying to do here is educate you as a consumer out there, a buyer, your friends or family, anybody like that, with our expert people. You need to reach out and contact someone who knows what they're doing, or have an agent that says, hey, this is what you really should be looking through, or even send it through to an attorney to read through it, or to an insurance agent. I would highly recommend that. So condo, townhome, Lindsay Mancini, Woods & Thompson Law. Let's go right into the liability as far as liability of a condo or townhome versus a single family. What would be some of the things that would be a factor for someone buying a condo or townhome versus a single family, or a condo or a townhome when they're looking at that?
A common question I get is, what am I responsible for if someone's injured on my property, or how can I mitigate those losses? And the difference mainly between a single-family home and a condo or townhome is those common areas. If it's a slip and fall on ice, who owns the driveway?
Yes, that's a good question.
And that's something that we talked about a little bit earlier. As far as, do you own the land where you would in a townhome and maybe not a condo? Obviously, it's the association and everyone owns a certain percentage. From my perspective, when I have an injured client come in and let's say they slipped and fell on ice. It's pretty icy out today, so that could happen when I get back to the office later. And we really look at who owns that land, who's responsible for snow removal, and those are all huge issues if you're moving into a condo or a townhome, if it's a common area or if it's your own driveway and you're responsible for some of that maintenance outside. Very essential then to read those bylaws right away prior to purchasing.
So we could go on a whole show on just this topic, because here's my question.
Right.
Let's say I have some rental property myself, or even my own house. Let's say I don't get all the ice off. What is the law, and what is something that could happen? Let's say someone's coming up to visit or dropping off something, or a friend, or then they slip on your front step, and heaven forbid their back is injured some way, shape, or form. What could happen, and how does that work? Because let's say I did shovel, but I didn't put down enough de-ice.
It's a pretty complicated question, even though it doesn't seem like it. And so it's really a negligence claim. Were you negligent in failing to remove the ice and snow that's built up? And there's exceptions beyond exception, and we can kind of go into that briefly because I could talk 4 days on that topic.
Sure.
And so the owner really is responsible to clear the property, making it safe for any entrant that comes onto the property. So whether it's snow removal in a reasonable period of time, you don't have to go in a blizzard and remove all the snow, but within a reasonable period of time. And then there's also the question, was it an open and obvious condition? That's an exception to this, your duty to make it a safe area for entrance on your property. So if you can look down and you can see it's icy, there's again exceptions to that exception if you're responsible or not. But the big thing, make sure that it's safe for any entrant. And if you have a snow removal company, make sure that contract with them is sound and that you've read that. But ultimately, as the landowner, you're going to be responsible for that.
And then, so for condo and townhome, that would fall on the association, typically, unless you read the bylaws, and there could be something that puts more responsibility on you, maybe as the owner. So you really want to pay attention to that. That's
you
what
definitely got to
right?
pay attention to the bylaws. I mean, I think a lot of people don't. Like you said, they're excited about buying the townhouse or excited.
They assume
about
everything's
condo.
good. You assume it's covered because you're
everything's
buying a condo
covered.
or
Blah
townhome.
blah. Just go in there and buy it. I think you definitely got to read those. I mean, it was especially having someone like Lindsay here explaining a little bit on what can happen if you don't read that stuff and the different lawsuits that can take place.
Give us an example, because people like to hear examples, like not without divulging detailed information, but what's some examples? People actually get sued and they actually have to pay out money, or does the insurance pay out money, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's that's why you have homeowners insurance to cover those things. If you can't, I heard someone say once, if you can't avoid it and you can't afford it, you have to insure it. So you insure if you have that kind of loss on your property. Someone comes over and they injure themselves, slip and fall, a big issue in Minnesota. If they'd slip and fall on your sidewalk or any sort of injury on your property, you need to make sure that you have things reasonably safe for entrance.
So have you been in cases like that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And lots of different homeowners claims. One case I had, someone was injured playing pinball and that broke on his thumbs. Just kind of all random premise liability claims.
Pinball.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite cases. But so there's all sorts of different ways people can get injured on your property, and the best way is to get a good insurance policy, obviously, to cover that. And the insurance policy too, just like those bylaws, probably the least read document in the whole United States. I think when you get those policies.
Or a mortgage.
Yeah.
Lisa. So that leads to Zach. And questions on insurance, because what's the difference between insuring a homeowner on a home or in this sort of situation? Or let's say you have kids' friends over play dates. I mean, there's just or you have a pool. I mean, there's a zillion things.
I think the
happen.
misconception too is when you buy a condo or you buy a townhouse, you really don't have to go get insurance because you're paying homeowners insurance on the policy. You're paying.
Is that true? Do I need insurance? I don't need it, right? Because my association covers it.
You absolutely need your own policy if you buy a townhome or a condo.
Really? People listen out there. You absolutely need a policy. Just because your association has it,
right?
You need it, and let's hear why.
Unless you're paying cash, Lisa's going to tell you that you're not going to get a loan without it. For one, as well as there's things that you are responsible for, that you want covered, that the master policy won't cover. On a typical single-family policy, you're going to have coverage for your dwelling, which is the actual home itself. You're going to have coverage for the stuff that you have inside there, your furniture, your clothes, your TVs. Yep. And then you're going to have the liability component. On an HO6 or a condo townhome policy, you're going to have the same coverage for your stuff because you're still going to have the same amount of furniture, clothes, TVs.
Yep.
You still want the liability coverage because if anything happens that you're liable for,
Such as a
slip and
pinball,
fall, you're right inside your home, you're going to want coverage for that. And there also are gaps in the master policy that cover some of the things in your house that you may figure would be covered by the master policy.
Give us an example.
I had a friend who had a condo. The condo above them left their cat. Their cat turned on the sink.
Nice.
And
Thirsty. Cat was thirsty. I get it.
Right. The sink overflowed, thus flooding his condo, and he figured his master policy or a combination between his personal policy and his master policy would cover, say, his kitchen cabinets and his flooring. What he found out that he didn't have the proper policies. So it's very important.
The association didn't?
The association didn't have that policy, as well as his own policy didn't cover it.
Huh. That's very good information to hear because
if you're buying a condo or a townhome and your insurance agent doesn't ask you for a copy of the master policy, there's probably going to be gaps there.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I have seen over the last year, 4 or 5 years, is that these condo and townhome master policies have risen in price, and the coverage has actually gotten worse because the insurance companies have taken a beating on them.
That makes sense.
And what the association a lot of times will take a larger deductible on that master policy
and pass it on to the owners.
Or cut some of the coverage in order to keep that cost down. Because people go crazy when their association dues go up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There's a battle for them. Yep.
And it's important for people to know or to realize that they are paying for their portion of that master policy. So they have access to that document. They should know what it covers.
Great information, Zach. Thank you. That's a good difference. We'll get more into detail with Zach and Lindsay. Lisa, from a standpoint of lending, what do you do? What's the difference? What are we talking about?
Well, a condo is...
I heard you couldn't get financing on condos. Is that true?
Well, there's just different financing,
That's the
right?
perception out there.
Right.
People are
There
like,
is.
you can't get a loan on condos.
I've had buyers that try to buy a condo, and we have to go to different lenders that actually will offer a certain product for a certain condo. Some lenders don't do that.
What are you seeing at Envoy, Lisa?
Well, a condo is a substantial higher risk to the lender because it's so... because all of the tenants have they contribute so much because of that community portion of the property that the risk level to the lender is quite a bit higher. So in thinking about buying a condo, if you're using a government loan, that condo actually has to be approved by the government. And I would say, without knowing the actual statistic, probably 25 to 30% of all condos actually are approved for government financing, which is usually the financing a first-time home buyer would do, or use with a first-time down payment assistance. A townhome, it's pretty cut and dry. There's really, the townhome is very similar when it comes to financing as a single family. What's really interesting to a consumer, however, is a townhome oftentimes looks exactly like a townhome, but the legal description actually is a condominium.
Oh, I've seen that a lot.
I've seen that a lot,
CIC,
too. Yep.
whenever you see the CIC.
Yep, so that legal description really makes a big difference in the interest rate, the financing opportunities. And then the other thing with the condo, even if this condo, so if it's a government loan and it's approved through FHA, great, okay? If we're looking at a conventional loan, before that loan is approved, once we have the appraisal, we also have to review the association documents.
The questionnaire, right?
Yep, we get a questionnaire directly from that association. And that questionnaire actually will reveal if there's any pending lawsuits on that condo. It will reveal the occupancy, how many tenants are actually owner-occupied.
And that plays a big difference into it, right? The occupancy of whether they're rentals or versus their owner-occupied.
Absolutely. There's so much more risk if the majority of the building is non-owner-occupied.
Right.
And then we're also looking for default. So if the majority of the people living there aren't paying their association dues, that poses a lot of risk. So those are things that we unveil in the loan process.
Huge thing. So that tells me if you know someone or you're considering a condo or townhome purchase, you really need to be in communication with the loan officer, because if they're getting these documents and they're going through them, They're going to know the default rate, the rent rate. They're going to know all kinds of things in the bylaws that you need to ask them about that stuff.
Well,
Ask
a lot of
your
that
agent
goes on
about
to the
that.
real estate agent too, because the real estate agent, before they list that property, kind of needs to know that information so they can know what kind of financing.
You got to have a
put
good
on there.
buyer's agent on too, and contact an attorney. We'll be back. Lisa's taken up. We'll be back with Zach and Lindsay talking more about condos, townhomes, and single families. Welcome back to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
I love Chris, the sound guy and producer back there. Plays all kinds of songs that I've never heard, but I probably should have. I love that song. That's a great song. Downtown. A lot of people are moving downtown. That's to the condos and the townhomes. That's our topic today. What's the difference? What it means to you? We have expert panel here. Lindsay Mancini, Woods and Thompson, Zach Rue, Premier Group Agency, and talking about the differences and stories, examples, things like that. Stuff that you need an expert to help you with and guide you through the process. And it's a lot more complicated. Buying any real estate can be complicated. It's a big deal. It's a big purchase. A lot of liability, a lot of risk, a lot of paperwork. Getting a mortgage is a big deal. Especially when you get condos and townhomes, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of things you should know. So you really, really need someone to look at that. And if you're not an attorney, or your spouse isn't, or your family member isn't, you need to contact an attorney. I would highly advise it, and read through those docs and look for any weaknesses on the budget, the bylaws, the rules, any changes, stuff like that. And then also with your insurance agent, make sure that you're adequately covered on your liability. So with that, Lindsay Mancini, Woods and Thompson, Gusty grad. Woo! What else? What else do we look for? What else do you consider important when people are? We're a real estate radio show. People buying and selling. What else is important for people when they're buying or selling condos and townhomes? As far as not just liability of what can happen to them on it, but are there any other things that you can think of that might be important for them to look at in those documents that could affect them in the transaction or in the purchase down the road?
Absolutely. I would read through, again, those bylaws, read the insurance policies. They're written by lawyers for lawyers. So have an insurance agent, have Zach, read it over.
I'm no lawyer.
Call an attorney. You can call me. One thing I really like about our firm, too, is that we'll sit down and explain, what your policy means. You don't have to have a case or anything. We're always happy to do that. I teach at William Mitchell. I like educating people on their insurance policy. It's something I'm just passionate about, insurance, like I'm sure Zach is too.
Yep.
But that's really important. So you know what you're purchasing, and that you know that everything you need covered is covered. And also those bylaws, that you understand what's covered by your association. Are they going to do the maintenance you think they are? So you don't have to worry about those liability claims. That's very essential. One thing we didn't talk about also with the HO6 loans, this is something I don't know. I know when someone again has a claim, a premise liability claim, or injured on a property, the first thing I look for is if there's a medical pay provision on the policy. I know most homeowners policies have that, most commercial properties, but what about condos and townhomes?
It's going to be the same as your typical single family, anywhere from $1,000 to up to $25,000, depending on what your policy or what your agent has advised.
What do you mean by that? Up to $1,000 they'll pay for medical? That's not very much.
$1,000 to $25,000.
Okay.
Of any medical injury on your home?
Right, on your property.
Oh, that's not very much, I don't think.
Regardless of negligence.
Right.
I got it. Okay. No matter what, even if it was something that was totally their fault, they ran straight into a wall for some reason, injured themselves, and then
$1,000 is going to $1,000. In today's times, $1,000 may just pay for an ambulance ride for them to get somewhere.
Yeah, I got you.
I think I don't write them for under $5,000, and it's kind of an a la carte item.
Okay.
The difference in the cost of your policy with $1,000 in med pay to $25,000, you're talking tens of dollars a year. So it's
like
not
10 or 20 or $30, not hundreds of dollars.
Right. Your condo policy, your condo or townhome policy is going to be significantly less cost-wise to you because it's not insuring
versus a single-family home.
Correct, because you're not insuring a lot of the dwelling. You know, if your entire condo complex burns down, the master policy is going to pay for the structure to be put back together. A lot of times the wall coverings and things inside your house, cabinetry and stuff, depending on what the master policy states and what the bylaws are.
So that is stuff that is important and should be important to you out there. We talked about this on previous shows, Josh. Going back and looking at what you have and what your coverage is. When something happens, that's not the time to say, "Oh, what do I have for my coverage?"
And I think
it's about planning and taking.
Yeah, I think what we've always done on the show is we try to educate our listeners out there to be more proactive than reactive.
Yep.
And that's having
It'd
a
be a
game
great
plan.
time to call, for example, call Zach and say, "Hey, Zach, I don't know what is in my policy. Can I just send you it and you can check it out?" I'd call him at 763-515-1335. That's 763-515-1335, and just say, "Hey, do I have 1,000? Do I have none? Do I have 5,000? Do I have 25,000?" And I would say for many people, it's better to have more insurance than it's to have less if you can afford the insurance. Because when something bad happens, that's when you're scrambling, and that's when you can't go back and say, "Oh yeah, up that now, up my insurance on that."
Correct.
Now that this happened,
Yeah,
retroactive doesn't happen in insurance, right?
Yeah, we can't backdate coverage. More coverage. It raises some red flags if that type of stuff happens.
And same with Lindsay Mancini. If she's very pleasant, very nice. It's not you're not coming to someone who is going to grill you or say, "Hey," they're here to answer your questions, help you. Do you offer some sort of consultation where they're not paying? Free consultation.
Nice.
So,
And I understand most people that I meet with are like, I don't want to start a lawsuit. I deal with most people. They're not litigious. I just it's important to know what your rights are. And on the flip side, if you just want someone to go over your policy or read through bylaws, happy to do that.
yeah, that's something you
awesome.
should always do. Lindsay Mancini, Woods and Thompson. You can reach her at 763-586-6073. 763-586-6073. You can also find them on talktwincitiesrealestate.com. Hopefully your fingers don't get sore typing that long domain, but it's a good one. talktwincitiesrealestate.com. Josh created an awesome site on there for all of our shows, all of our partners, and everybody that's been on as a guest. You can find all of their information. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube as well. We're here to help and answer any questions you have. So, quick side note on these condos and townhomes for people that are considering buying them. Many of them have pools. They have common elements and things like that.
Amenities.
What if, or even let's say you have a single family and you have a pool. What does that entail from an insurance standpoint, or from a legal standpoint maybe first, and then an insurance standpoint?
Well, it's definitely something you have to think about as far as liability.
So do you up your liability because of the pool?
Yeah,
Or does
would-
the insurance company automatically do that so you don't have to worry about it?
Your insurance company doesn't automatically do that. They automatically charge more for the same insurance policy if you do have a pool. The same thing holds true with trampolines, because trampolines, even though they're a lot of fun, they're a big liability. A lot of people get hurt on these trampolines.
You see a lot of trampolines in condos, though?
I see a lot of well, on single family. This is a good question for single family. I see a lot of people with single family that have trampolines, and they don't tell anybody.
Well,
Then what happens? Then it's not covered? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot.
I mean,
here because I'm
that's
curious,
definitely
but-
a law. That's definitely a law question. From my standpoint,
So
in
that'd
my
be a good
profession,
time for a good deal for a lawyer to be involved in that one, right? If something happens on a trampoline.
if you write your policy with me today, and I don't ask you if you have a trampoline, that's a liability to me as a professional.
Oh, yeah.
Most 95% of properties are inspected by the carrier nowadays too. So if it is something that's missed, or you try to hide the fact that you have an above ground pool and a trampoline in your backyard, and you indicate that you don't, if you indicate that you don't on your application for insurance, more than likely
It'll be exempt, or it could be exempt.
when the attorneys get a hold of it, there's definitely a chance that it could be.
It'll be
exempt.
something you have to fight for anyway to try to get
Correct.
coverage on. So
Correct.
what do you think, Lindsay, on that? I mean, as far as pools and things like that, do you see a lot of things happening with that in your firm from a standpoint of either in condos or on town or in single families?
Not I don't see it that often, actually.
Slip and falls are the main thing.
Slip and fall. I mean, different premise liability claims. Slip and fall, trip and falls, dog and cat bites. Also
yes.
are another premise liability.
yeah.
Something to think about too. If your dog, it doesn't even have to be on your property, and it's going to be covered by your homeowner's insurance if your dog would bite someone that was, unprovoked.
Yeah.
Cat's a little bit different, that you have to show that they had previously been ferocious or something before you're going to be liable for a cat bite. You kind of get a free bite in Minnesota with your cat.
Free bite.
But your cats,
not with
cats can
dogs.
also cause damage to your neighbor's property
When they turn on the
Yeah,
faucet.
When they turn on the faucet upstairs, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they got a
turn on
drink
the-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good information to know. And also, if you're considering buying or selling a condo or looking at one, or someone is, call us at 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773, or visit talktwincitiesrealestate.com. Put your questions on there, because it is way more important than you may think. Even if you're a pet lover and you have pets, those are the main things you actually pay attention to on the association docs because of the restrictions. But all kinds of other things could be on there, and those can change. Dues go up.
Yeah.
Rules can change. You are not in sole control of that rule. There's a whole community and board and all those things that have factors in on these condos and townhomes. So you got to know how that works as well, and maybe be actively involved once you get into a condo or townhome. If you have a condo or townhome and you want to sell it, give us a call as well. We have a lot of experience in that as well. Talk TwinCitiesRealEstate.com. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
I'm Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
Lindsay Mancini of Woods and Thompson is here, and Zach Rue of Premier Group Agency. Two experts, and we're happy to have them. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
I'm Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
What a pleasure talking with Lindsay Mancini and Zach Rue even on break here. We're talking about many things that are very valuable and that we're going to share with you now. You can visit us at talktwincitiesrealestate.com, all spelled out, talktwincitiesrealestate.com, and then call us at 651-400-0773. Condos and townhomes, that's the topic this week. We have a few more details to talk about on that. And then next week will be conservatorship and assisted living, what that means to you and your family if someone in your family goes into assisted living or has to have a conservator, and deal with those issues. They're a very, very touchy subject, very emotional, and also can be very costly, and there's all kinds of things that go on with that, so we want to inform you on those issues. Condos and townhomes, typically you buy a townhome, you have 10 days rescission once you review the documents. After you find the place, that's when you should really dig in. I love the outside. I love the building. I love the amenities. I love the inside. Oh, they updated it. Oh, it's great. Oh, I know someone in the building. Oh, it's awesome. You fall in love with it, then you really got to hone in and look at the details on the docs. That's the main thing you get out of the show.
You got to be smart and read those bylaws.
That's the main thing we're looking at. And if you aren't going to do it, and if you're not going to have someone do it for you, hire someone for a fee or call an attorney and have them do it. It'll be well worth it if it saves you from getting into something you shouldn't be in. Very, very, very important. We take for granted this, and even us realtors, we don't go through that like the detail that we probably should on many cases, because it's ultimately the buyer's responsibility. But we do want to make sure we put you in touch with people that will help you out. So as far as other things with condos and townhomes that will be important to you, Lindsay had a great topic on the break. Lindsay Mancini, Woods and Thompson. What was that that we were talking about on break that you wanted to share, Lindsay?
What do you do if someone is injured on your property?
Oof. Hopefully it never happens. Knocking right now.
That's thin air.
It happens.
Yep.
If someone's injured on your property, the first thing you need to do is notify your insurance company. So under your policy, I'm sure Zach can attest to this, under each insurance policy, there's a duty to notify your company.
Yep.
When is this? Is it a timeline? 3 days? 5 days?
They make it vague within the way it's worded is within a reasonable time. There's no reason not to call immediately.
So let's run through a scenario. You have a you have a condo townhome. You have a house. Josh is over.
I come over. Okay.
Trips and falls down the steps. Breaks his arm.
I break my arm, but I said, "All right." I had a great
"Hey,
time.
no worries, buddy. No worries, buddy." Then he gets home and he's thinking, "You know what?"
Then I have my ex telling me what to do.
Oh, she's nice. She's a great lady.
No, then you call me, right?
Right. And he calls and he says, you know what? I don't know. I that's right. I didn't sign up for medical insurance yet or something. And he says, I need to get this paid for. He calls me, the homeowner, and says, I'm going to be filing a claim, or what? And that's probably what he would do. Then what am my obligation? My obligation is to call the attorney, or do you right away?
I would call me first.
Call Zach right away and say, hey, guy, my buddy fell.
Even
what if he
if we're
doesn't?
friends, and he doesn't know that I'm...
Even if he doesn't even say he's going to file a claim, I should probably still call you, I would think, right?
At least make a notification.
Okay.
I'll document it that you
don't know
you
where it's
called
going
in. You called in within a reasonable time. We don't know what's going to happen completely, but your insurance company has an awful lot of attorneys that work for them, so they're going to cover your interest in the accident.
Okay.
That's why you have insurance. It's at least notifying.
So notify, that's the first step. What else, Lindsay? Let's go over the things you should do if you have someone injured on your property, and the things you shouldn't do, like some examples. So I'll let you go from there.
The first thing, obviously, notify your insurance company. And then you have to cooperate with your insurance company. It's another clause within your policy. You have a duty to cooperate. So if they're trying to do investigation work, obviously they don't want to pay out as much as they they don't want to pay out your whole limits or whatever. They want to do a good job representing you
So you
as
answer
an
their
insured.
questions, you let them in the house if needed, you share anything they ask for, pretty much,
Yes,
right?
you have that duty to cooperate. And then your insurance company has a duty to defend you. If you've cooperated with them and notified them, they're going to hire, sometimes they have in-house counsel, sometimes they'll hire an attorney for fee counsel, and they have a duty to represent you. So you will have an attorney. And you don't have to pay for that. That's within your policy. And that doesn't eat up part of your liability coverage. That's just another coverage you purchase when you buy a homeowner's policy.
Yep.
So those are some like 3 things you could do that you should be doing if anything does happen or a claim isn't going to be initiated against you or an accident.
Right. In a way, your insurance policy, part of it is a prepaid
Legal counsel.
it's prepaid legal. Especially in things like a liability.
Now, let's say it's a flip side. Let's say you are the one who's injured. What should you do? Let's say you're at a...
As a personal injury attorney, you should call me right away, Thompson. And it doesn't hurt. Like I said, people aren't litigious. I know we don't represent people that come in and are just looking for money. That's not what it's about.
Right.
It's walking through what are your options. Sometimes there's a medical pay. That's what it's for. Sometimes you don't have health insurance. You have a huge deductible, and you just need some coverage, for your treatment.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. Just walking through the different steps. You can have a free consultation. It's not going to cost you anything up front or anything like that.
So if you're injured, you should do that.
Is there a time frame that you're supposed to do that? File with a claim or whatever with an attorney within a certain time frame?
Let's say you say you're not going to. If something happens and you're hurt, and then also,
and then it's like 8 years or 7 years later.
But let's say a few months later, a year later, maybe even a long time. You say, "Oh yeah,
this is
caused because of that injury at that person's
There is
house."
a statute of limitations for personal injury claims.
Okay.
It depends on the situation, but typically it's 6 years.
Okay.
Again, you speak with an attorney before that because it could be sooner. But the earlier you talk to an attorney, the better, because once an insurance company gets involved, you have the insurance company calling you, asking you questions. It's just good to at least know what your options are, and so you know what you're dealing with.
So our example, Josh is injured on my house. My insurance company may reach out and contact him and ask him questions.
Yes.
So that's when you should have a lawyer for sure.
What if I don't want to cooperate?
Then you say, "Hey, I'm not going to ask you
I want
questions."
to talk to my attorney. My attorney cooperates with the
That's
insurance.
correct.
Yeah.
Once you already have an attorney, then the insurance company has to communicate through the attorney.
What are some things you shouldn't do? As an example that maybe people have done or you've seen people do, Lindsay, when they have a claim filed against them? Are they going to get a claim filed?
One of my favorite cases that my insurance law students, I have them read. So there was a case where this guy, it's not a real premise liability, but it's the same topic we're talking about. When to notify your insurance company of a loss. This guy's truck's stolen, and he waits over a year before he tells his insurance company.
Oh, my
so you're not
goodness.
going to have coverage for that, or things of that nature. You need to give your insurance company plenty of time to do investigations.
And
he waited over a
comes
year?
down.
Yeah.
It comes down to being reasonable. Most policies are going to tell you you need to report a loss within a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
Somebody steals your vehicle. It's not reasonable that you would go a year without getting around to notifying anybody that your vehicle was stolen.
Yep.
Another situation, you wait until you've already had a verdict against you. You don't do that. You let your insurance
Yeah, that's
company
not
know
good.
right
No.
away. Don't ignore
Oh.
it. You get served a summons and complaint. You better turn that over to your insurance company right away. Don't wait, until the end of a lawsuit or something like that, and then ask to be reimbursed for that. It's not going to be covered.
I'm in real estate. I like, people. I like to talk. I like to work things out, person to person, face to face.
It's probably not a
Should I
situation
go
where
and
you do
work
that.
things out with the person who's filing against me, maybe, and say, hey, can we just work this out together, one-on-one, instead of going through the legal process?
As an attorney, I would say absolutely not. I would not do that.
That's when you come back
Not
with
the
a black
route
eye.
to take.
So that can actually backfire maybe on you sometimes. That's what I've seen.
You might have a lawsuit right back at you.
Yes, that's so good advice. So awesome advice. Lindsay Mancini, you can reach her 763-586-6073, 763-586-6073, and Zach Rue, Premier Group Agency, 763-515-1335, 763-515-1335. You can see the faces, put them with the names, talktwincitiesrealestate.com, talktwincitiesrealestate.com, and see the YouTube, see the contact information, and reach out with any questions. Next week,
What are we talking about?
conservatorship
Yep.
and assisted living, what that means to you. That might tie in very well with condos and townhomes, because a lot of those assisted living buildings and things that involve that are actually multifamily structures that are condo townhomes with a ton of different bylaws that may be even more intense than buying a normal, if you will, condo or townhome. Thanks for listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
I'm Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
And again, look at Josh's awesome creation. TalkTwinCitiesRealEstate.com. Remember, love yourself and love others. Have a great week.